Far-ish away, in perhaps more exotic than you realised, Switzerland, every year there is a competition. From the canton of Valais, the competitors arrive in the hope of becoming this year's champion. The locals turn out in force, buy food and drink, dress down and watch. Few sporting competitions could have such a beautiful arena. This is Ringkuhkampf, literally ring cow struggle, but often freely translated as cow wrestling. But since we're here, how about Cow Wars? Bam! 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 Ba-bam, 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 bam. All right, maybe not. You may fear that this is a bloody contest between man and beast, but far from it. Instead, it relies on how extremely hierarchical cows are by natural instinct. I know this from my many holidays on a dairy farm in Wales. The top cows always made sure that they got milked first, while the other cows waited. And every cow in the herd knew her exact place in the ranking, and woe betide any of them who tried to jump the queue by so much as one place. So, if you stick a load of cows who are strangers to each other in the field, pretty soon they will start asserting. Each farmer brings his most assertive alpha cows, and then they face each other in a sort of alpha-off. Just like boxing or judo or kerplunk, there are weight categories: heavy, medium and light cows, first-timer cows, those who didn't calve last year, and heifers. Quite often the matter is settled with just a stare down. The first to look away loses. Some have their staring matches from point-blank range with heads together, while others get much more competitive with pressing heads, pushing matches and even vigorous bouts of barging. They do have horns on their heads, but they seem to be quite unaware of this and don't use them to gore each other. Need a long chain pulling taut? This ought to do it. This is Shakira, who likes to be alone. The competitors are listed by number, name, ear brand number, presumably in case someone tries to substitute a ringer, and owner. I didn't see any betting taking place, but it could have happened quietly elsewhere. A bout can last as much as 40 minutes. Some cows don't like to give up, and so some duels get declared draws. This was the first closely contested pairing I saw, and I tried to capture it all, but I didn't then know how long it can take. After a while, my arm started to get tired holding the camera, and eventually I gave up. The winners get paraded around the edge of the field, and the crowd applauds, and at the judges' podium they get their awards, big fancy bells. Right, so hang on to your fondue sets, let's watch a bout of Swiss cow wrestling. There's number 51 there, one of the favourites, being held in readiness by one of her team. Elsewhere around the field, the other contenders, mainly I noticed held facing away, are waiting for the signal to start. 65 there, licking her owner. I'm not sure how much he likes it. 51 is keen. "Let me at 'em," she's saying. "This field is mine." Well, she'll have to prove that. Calming hands steady her. The signal is given. That's it. Release the cows! 51 immediately moves to the centre, which is also claimed by 69, and straight away we have a contest there. Elsewhere, we can see other pairings forming up. Some are scraping at the ground with their front hooves, daring others to take them on. 68 sees an opening here, a rear attack on 51 perhaps. No! A steward sees that and quickly intervenes. 51 mounts a charge now, looking good, and that's it! 69 turns away and it's all over. One loss chalked up to 69. 61 and 60, meanwhile, are sizing each other up. They are in no hurry, but have to be alert for a sudden rush by an opponent, or particularly penetrating stare. 50 sees off 63 in decisive fashion. 63 jinks back, trying to save face, but we all saw it. One loss for 63. Is 68 trying to duck out of the ring there? 60 and 61 are now head-to-head in a very close staring match. Will that settle it, or will it escalate? 67 mounts an offensive on 64. A rude taunt from 64 backfired, and 64 absorbs the rush. Good technique there. Tries to turn her opponent, but she gets lifted, loses her grip, and gives up and loses a life. 2 more of those, and she'll be eliminated. Oh, no, wait, she's not giving up yet. Back in there. 62 and 51 head-to-head. 62 pushing, but 51 looking very calm, conserving energy. 63 scoping the field for signs of weakness. 65 tries to look casual, does a bit of grazing, fooling no one. 64 and 67 still struggling, quite a dynamic fight there. 51 on 62 meanwhile. 51 looking strong, just walking her opponent back, making it look easy. 62 knows what a feather in her cap it'll be if she can beat the might of 51. She's a game dame, but I feel she'll tire herself out. 50 now sees her arch-rival 51 and tries to muscle in and make it a 2-on-1, but the orange-clad marshals are having none of it. 2 at a time, ladies, await your turn. 50 looking for a new opponent, but no one wants to take her on just yet. 61 now trying the same dirty trick, but again the marshal is quick to pounce on that sort of thing. Elsewhere in the field, 50 is looking for an opponent. Lots of jockeying for position here. 63 challenges 68, but she pretends she's just seen an old friend and didn't notice the challenge. It's not dignified, but it keeps you in the game. 69 takes on 50, and it's all over very quickly. Another loss by 69. 51 and 62 turning out to be a long battle of attrition. A blaze of action now as 61 and 65 settle it with speed. 65 is pushing, 65 is pushing. Can she turn her foe? But no! 61 digs deep and turns it around. 65 looks startled there as she turns and concedes. 61 says, "That's the way it's done." 62 and 51 now, both still in it, and for the first time I can see heavy breathing from 51. These cows are of the Herens breed. Small, hardy cattle kept mainly for beef, but they are also milked, largely for cheese production. You'll notice, though, that none of these athletes has a prominent udder. Are these kept and bred for sport? An interesting statistic is that in the last 40 years or so, these cows have nearly doubled in average weight, but their milk yield has hardly altered, a state of affairs that certainly suits the sport. A top champion's value increases to as much as 35,000 Swiss francs, or about £28,000. But, I ask myself, why? A champion cannot produce more calves nor yield more milk, and the taste of victory is not detectable in beef, so why is she valuable? It's almost as though people are betting on these contests. 68 and 63 head to head. Which way will it go? 68 presses and 63 wants none of it. She's off. The undefeated 50 now tries it on with 67, but 67 uses her footwork to neutralise her rival's play. '61 and 62 they're getting energetic, but neither getting the upper hoof. 51 and 64 locked in a battle of wills. More wills than wits, I feel. 50's name is Vera. Her hobbies are grazing, lowing and bell ringing. 67 is Babette, and she likes grazing, bell ringing and lowing. 51 and 64 they're wowing the crowd with their stubbornness. Before a contest, these ladies are fed with extra bread and oats, and some are taken for runs. Every year there's a grand final in Apraux where the 6 best cows from 7 districts compete. In French-speaking areas it's called Combat de Reines, Fight of the Queens, for the title Queen of Queens. Of course, a long, slow contest can be more exhausting than a short, fast one. Some of the more tactical cows may try to play a waiting game and let their rivals tire themselves out. That doesn't make for the most exciting viewing, though, and victors from long bouts are given a rest, if possible, for fairness, and the more reticent cows are introduced to each other, as you see here, to speed things up. They seldom seem pleased to meet each other, though, and after a spirited contest, 65 loses another life. Wonderful technique by 67 here. See how she makes 50 carry her weight and do all the work? She immediately counterattacks. Come on, 67! You can do it! 51 and 64. A study in determination that acts, frankly, as a lesson to us all. Another pairing here in its early tentative stages. Will they be friends or go the way of all the others? 62 and 67 playing cow chess, which, unlike human chess, is all about intransigence and shoving. 51 surges ahead and 64 concedes and loses a point. A big violent advance from 50 here, and it must surely be all over for 67. But no! 67 is still in it! Come on, Thunder Child! 67? 69 being given a nice rest, clearly against her will. 62 and 61 trying some neck pressing, giving their foreheads a rest. Come on, 67! 61 and 62 getting serious now. They know that victory means a slightly different bell to wear. 67 under mighty pressure now. She loses her hoofing. She skids. She must be out. No! She hangs on and she's still in it. Dig deep, 67. Dig deep. Elsewhere, a lull. 64 and 69 here, apparently just going through the motions, but who really knows what each is planning? 62 making it clear. 61 turns away and gives up the point. The marshals have rather a lot of cows in one part of the field at once. Lots of heavy things to watch out for that could tread on a foot. Probably want to spread them out a bit. 62, fresh from her victory against the huge 51, who throws in the towel just like that. Major turn up for the books. 50 and 67 still struggling. This is a titanic struggle. And 62 is on a roll, already has a new opponent. 51 still in it, but only just. 67, what a heart you have, and so little brain. Perfect combo for this. 51 is pushing hard, and looking as though she's going to force another loss on a foe, and strange time for the cameraman to lose interest. Put the marshal down! I don't know if there's a penalty for doing that, but 69 doesn't seem to care. She's going straight back into the fray. The marshal looks as though he'll still be feeling that tonight. 68, ready for a new opponent. No! 67 gives up! Oh, all that just to lose a point. Does she have anything left in reserve? I doubt it. 62 gets a biscuit. The rested 68 now against 51. Everything to play for. 61 and 64 trying to sniff each other intimidatingly. Not easy. 62, another quick biscuit there, quite clearly. The comparatively fresh and rested 68 here taking on a noticeably larger rival in 51. She seems to fancy her chances. With effort, she is able to bend 51 back and gain ground. This could be another upset. And looks to be an interesting pairing to watch. After a while, we see 51's belly rising and falling as she breathes heavily. And what's this? The terrifying bulk of 50 appears. She's going for 68. 68 panics and flees. Oh! Will that count? 68 was in control there, having picked the right foe at the right time. A steward's inquiry, I think, surely. Now, very unsports cow-like behaviour from 51 here, gloating in cheap victory. That's a terrible thing to see. 61 and 64 have escalated to head pressing now. And what's this? 51, not content with what's just happened, is trying to attack 64 from behind. That must be at least a yellow card. Praise to that Valiant chap who is having to heave a beast several times his weight away from mischief. 64 seems oblivious to what just nearly happened, although I don't know how she'd signal otherwise. Another lull here. Pretending to graze isn't going to work. The judges being judgmental, which is fine. 51 here, her luck still holding, making it through on luck, cheating and belligerence. Time to start harnessing some cows up. 67 here, showing that she's still got something to give. Can she get the victory she so deserves? These seem well matched, each carefully shadowing the moves of the other. The two favourites have finally met, 50 and 51. Yes! 50 gets the loss she so deserves. Now, these cows spend their whole lives with bells on. I do wonder how freaky they would find it if you removed the bell. That sound they associate with the sound of movement would be gone. What would they think?
When I move, the sound of me isn't there. Am I dead?
Poor 67, she picks the stubbornest of opponents. The defeated 51 offered a cigarette, but refuses, rather petulantly. 67 battled it out with 62 for nearly 8 minutes. By the end of it, her tongue was hanging out with the effort, and she was panting away, and, well, eventually she gave up. But she must get the prize for the most valiant loser.
Stuff this! I'm going home.
67 is led out, leaving the flagrantly evil 51 in as one of the victors. 62's biscuit pusher signals something arcane. 51 goes to the centre. She wants to do some more, still up for it, but her team comes to harness her back up. Does she know she's a winner? Who can say? 50 was the biggest winner and the biggest cow. I think these facts are related. Now that's a moustache! The winners are led up to be embelled. Quick team photograph there. The crowd applauds, thanking the organisers mainly, I think, because the cows have no idea what that noise means. Well done, sir. Well done. Oh, right. So this is the part of the video where I honour my sponsor, or try to sell you something if you prefer. And my sponsor is ExpressVPN.
But now, what is a VPN?
Yeah, well, yes, I was of course just about to tell the ladies and gentlemen precisely that, but thank you for your enthusiasm, because enthusiasm is usually good. A VPN is a virtual private network, and it's a service to which you can subscribe, and it enables you to pretend to be somewhere that actually you're not. You see, normally here you are sitting at home, you see, with your computer linked to the a modem or whatever, a router, and that's right, you use routers now, don't you? Or routers if you're American, and that connects to the internet service provider, which you then send a message to saying, summon me hence, please, internet service provider, this thing on the outer web that I'm interested in. And the internet service provider says, okay, got it, and it sends a message out, it comes back from the website, sends it to you, and this is quite a simple chain, and it's possible for the other members in the chain to work out where you are. So you might, for anonymity or privacy's sake, want to use a virtual private network to pretend to be somewhere else instead. So that, you know, they don't know.
Well, I think I sort of half get it. I'm not sure though.
You know what? That's good enough. That's good enough. If you half understand it, that's good enough. I mean, do you completely understand how your car works? Could you make a gearbox yourself? Do you know how to repair an engine? You don't really let all that get in the way of driving, do you? You just understand that cars are things and they work, and somehow you get to where you want to go. Well, VPNs somehow work. You don't have to fully understand them.
Yes, that's right. Because you don't want them knowing where you are. You know, the man.
Yeah, right. Yes. Look, I've met the man you're talking about. His name's Trevor. He's fine. I think you should just go and just have a word with him. Really, just go and have a word with him. You don't have to be some sort of paranoid conspiracy nut to want to use a VPN. One of the geo-restrictions they might want to get around is what something like Netflix or Amazon Prime or BritBox or whatever, some streaming service is showing you. You may feel that you've exhausted all the programs that you want to see on what's apparently available, but then you pretend to be somewhere else entirely, in another country perhaps, using a VPN, and you realise, oh, there's a whole new menu of things I can be watching. So it makes all those streaming services much bigger and more useful than they otherwise might be, and that's more sort of what I use them for, rather than keeping myself safe from the man.
It sounds really difficult. I'm rubbish with computers.
No, it's not really that difficult. Look, this is the interface here for how you to log on to it and so forth, and a couple of clicks and you're in another country. Does that look so difficult for you? And look, there's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week support line, so you know, if you really are having trouble, you can consult that, and you should be fine. Don't let your fears that it's going to be all so difficult and baffling. Don't let that stop you.
I've got a device.
Will it work with my device? Well, it works on these. Do you have one of these devices?
I don't know. When I'm in the car, I just put my foot down and it somehow goes. I don't question it. So if it works, you can get it to work for you, probably. Other VPNs are available though. So why would you use particularly ExpressVPN? Good question. Right. Okay. Well, you could. There are indeed other services, VPN services available, and you could shop around, but you're unlikely to find one that is faster. Now, I tried using one of the free VPNs that you can get on a lot of browsers these days, and I thought, I'm not paying any money, and then I found out, boy, are they slow. Whereas ExpressVPN is an awful lot faster. They've been doing this since 2009, and now they've built up 3,000 servers in 94 countries, and that's why they can be so flipping fast. And reliable. So, ExpressVPN. Oh, there's another reason, which is that if you go to www.expressvpn.com/Lindybeige, with that particular extra bit to the address there, or you could just click the link in the description, which is much easier. But anyway, then you can find details of an offer. You can get 3 months absolutely free. So there you go. There's another reason to use ExpressVPN, my sponsor. Now back to the meat of the video.
Ah, the bell on head distraction technique. It's an old trick, but it can work. I want to live in that chalet there, but only if it's got good internet, and if they don't charge extra for delivering pizza. I don't want to live there. So, do I think that this sport is cruel? Well, no, not really, no. For one thing, the farmers choose to bring their cows to compete. These are people who have chosen to spend their whole lives raising and looking after cattle. It isn't a way to make an easy fortune. These are not massive commercial ventures by international conglomerates. No, these are small upland farmers. So it's reasonable to conclude that these farmers keep cows because they love cows. The top matriarch cow in the herd is a prized possession, so it doesn't strike me as likely that someone who loves cows would put his best cow through something he considered cruel. Also, I saw absolutely no animosity towards humans displayed by any of the cows. The biggest cows were massive and had huge horns, and yet in the ring they saw the humans mainly as irrelevancies.
Get out of my way, human. This is just between us cows.
None of the cows was hurt, although of course injury is a risk, but so it is in any sport. But you might argue it's different here because these cows do not choose to participate in this sport, unlike humans. Well, I didn't choose to play rugby at school either. It was compulsory. And besides, these cows actually do choose to participate. Don't forget that to end a bout of shoving, or even to prevent one starting in the first place, all any of these cows ever has to do is simply turn her head and walk away. Which sometimes they do straight away, but usually they don't. This sport definitely goes with the grain of bovine instinct rather than against it. I do wonder what happens psychologically, if anything, to the top matriarch of a herd who gets trounced in the ring and then goes back to her herd again. Does she become more of a bully? Cows in herds live constantly with the stress of maintaining their ranking in the herd. The only way to avoid that would be to keep them all apart in solitary. These contests have been going on for exactly 100 years this year. They started in 1920. Today they attract about 50,000 spectators a year. Cattle herd dominant sports are not unique to Switzerland. They also exist in Bosnia, Croatia, Turkey, China, Japan, Korea, Oman, Zanzibar, Kenya, India, Nepal and elsewhere. But they mostly use bulls, not cows, so might be rather different. What's this? An invasion by the paratroopers of the American Humane Association? No, I don't think so. That looks like a device for picking up cows. This is for picking up modern round hay bales. But lots of people want a house with these views, so the valleys are dotted with them. Another team photograph, owner, trainer, nutritionist, masseur. Oh, yes, and cow. 2 bells, yes! Winner, winner, silage dinner.
It's like internet arguments, but with cows.